for the Dillon Urban Renewal Authority. Note, public hearings are not held during DURA work sessions. The public is invited to attend the work session and listen to DURA's discussion. However, DURA is not required to take any public comments during work sessions. At the discretion of DURA, public comment may be allowed if time permits, and if allowed, public comment may be limited. No formal action will be taken by DURA at its work session. So I'll turn this over to Carrie and Heather.
Thank you. So I want to go through the DURA fund with you. We went through all the other funds. Talk a little bit about DURA. The DURA was established, I'm going to go through a little history. DURA was established in 2009. That's when the Urban Renewal Plan was adopted by the town. And at some point, the Urban Renewal Authority, which is now what we call Dillon Urban Renewal Authority, had to pull the trigger or establish the tax increment financing. And it was at a time, if you think about 2009, what was going on, that was big economic downturn. Things were not good. We were worried about property tax. We were worried about savings. And so when we came out of that in 2012, basically started in 08, and by 12, we were starting to come out of that economic downturn. Council decided, or Dillon Urban Renewal Authority, decided to pull the trigger, so to speak, on the tax increment financing. So that's when we started. That became the base year, which was 2012, for doing tax increment financing. You have 25 years from the time you pull the trigger to the end of your tax increment financing. So 2037 is the end of collecting TIF, not that far away. And I will just remind or let everyone know, Ben's probably the only one who knows this, is that the fire department, we have a separate agreement, the town of Dillon has a separate agreement with the fire department, or maybe it's DURA and fire department, that we pay back the fire department 50% of the TIF that was intended for them that comes to DURA. They do have a significant number of mills, so we will have to, in 2028, we will have to. So the TIF will be smaller, not significantly, but it will be smaller. We'll have to start modeling that to figure out what that number looks like. So I just want to give you that history about what DURA is. When I reviewed the DURA expenditures and the amount of money that was spent in the last year, we have significantly decreased the balance in this fund. So I'll start with 2025. So if we amend the beginning balance, it's a decrease of $293,000. The revenue changes for 2026 are DURA actually takes a little bit more interest because it wasn't allocated properly. The rebates were overestimated. These are the correct rebate amounts for the EV charging stations are in here. And the lot sale, when we bought that lot in 2024, apparently it was for the lot up in Corinthian Hill for the water tank. And when it was purchased for $898,000, the town, or DURA, I guess, needed to use that land for the water tank and for easements for that tank. And we reduced the size. So when we go to sell it, we're not gonna be able to get $900,000 for it. So the goal is to get $500,000. So we had to reduce revenues
So
by 400,000.
just to clarify, the lot size is not changing, but our utility easement grew with a setback. So there's a section that's not, it does, because there's a portion that's not buildable. Yeah, right. But it's a utility easement. Yeah.
So that did reduce the value. So we dropped the revenues that are anticipated. Now, if we don't sell that lot, if we don't sell it this year, we won't even have that $500,000 this year. Then we're in the hole. The expenditure changes, there's quite a few. We have the town center topographic survey was not budgeted for $12,000. We have a new project, which was the tenant facade program. I believe that came back $50,000. We have an additional so the real estate purchases, the two buildings that DURA purchased this year were $5 million for those two buildings. Since then, there's also costs associated with those buildings that was not budgeted. So the supplemental appropriation came to DURA back in May. I think it was May 5th.
Yeah.
Yeah. Came for approval and was passed, but it didn't take into account all the ancillary expenses that go along with owning buildings. One, we had to have asbestos testing done. There's been some payouts to some tenants. So there's an additional $50,000 that wasn't budgeted for. I did move, as we talked about earlier, I did move capital projects that I consider not to be DURA projects, that they're really capital, and capital can take these projects on, which was the Historical Society park improvements, the light pole, and the street light at Lodgepole and Lake Dillon. Goes back to the capital fund to get more money in the DURA fund. And then we did add some money for the redevelopment facilitation services with Trace. Did add some money contract for the rest of the year because that was not budgeted for. And then legal fees were budgeted fairly low. In a huge. So I increased that. I think this is a better projection depending on what we do the rest of the year. They have to go a little higher. Bottom line is when you put all that together, we're down to $245,000. So we spent in 2026, there's $9.1 million in spend. So, and we started here, 5.9 million. So we've spent a significant amount of money in 26. And the spending, we need to slow the spending down. We need to take a hard look. And I think council for DURA, when we do the retreat or this is done at a work session, you need to take a hard look at what this fund is intended to be used is and what you want to.
Carrie, we will receive some additional revenues next year.
We do receive annual revenues of about $2 million from TIF, roughly $2 million. We do have a TIF agreement for one of our businesses that we pay back. So that has to come out of that $2 million. There's always, legal costs and some other things. So we will have money moving forward. That $2 million will drop down when we have to pay back the fire department. You have 11 years left. 11 years to deal with redevelopment. So, which was the intended purpose of this. I would just suggest that as a group, that should be probably one of your first priorities to figure out what the purpose of this fund is and what you. It's probably, well, I think water was the toughest fund, but this is a tough fund to have that amount go so. I don't know what's going to happen with the two buildings. Revenue redevelopment that comes from that, or that's a work in progress.
That's a work in progress, but we should get the money back from CMC as we go forward with that.
Well, we, per the agreement that we have with them, agreed to contribute a certain amount to that project.
Yeah,
And I believe is a part of it, part of that contribution, but yeah, we did. I mean, we're partners with them in the project.
Yeah.
Sorry. Bearer of bad news. Sorry. Don't shoot the messenger.
well,
Questions?
we hired you to fix this, so we got to accept the results.
I don't know if this is a question for you right now, but talking about that lot, and I thought earlier today we heard that everything is kind of closed on it. Can we get that on the market?
We are working on that.
Okay,
Yeah.
great. Thank you.
So when you think,
I need to circle back with Dan on that. Yeah.
yeah, if we could get that sold, I mean, it's already showing in the budget. as
Yeah.
sold. But that would certainly help to keep us.
That seems like a good deal for that lot.
Yeah, it's
Mhm.
I mean, I live down the block from it. That's a nice lot.
Maybe we can get more than 500,000.
I mean, you can still build a building there.
You can build a duplex there.
Yeah,
That's cheap for that lot.
I mean, it's going to be, it's on a pretty steep hill.
No.
But you,
It's on.
Yeah.
you could design it such that the garages are down below and then the units go up and it's
That's
stacked.
250,000 times two. There's nothing in that neighborhood has ever sold that cheap in 20 years. That's the last lot.
That's the last lot, yeah. I'm going to miss the privileges at the clubhouse, but when we sell it, I'll be glad. to bring it back. I've never been to the clubhouse.
You use the hot tub?
No.
So, any questions, comments, any thoughts?
My only thought was, I just wanted to, the DURA budget had a pretty big shortfall in revenue projections. And I just wanted to make that, make the community aware that the revenue projections were off. And that was 480,000 in 2026 and 242,000 in 2025. So it adds up to 722,000 in the projected revenues. So it matters. Just so you know that we thought we were going to collect more. So.
Correct. And that's what we talked about earlier.
Mhm.
Budgeting, estimating, budget
It's tough.
estimating estimates. It's tough, but it matters. I mean, spending the time to make sure they're more accurate is really important. And this is your proof.
And so, and I asked you this before, Carrie, but I'm just going to ask you again, so
Yep.
the property taxes, typically the amount comes from the assessor. Did they tell us how much we're going to collect or how's it work?
Yes, they tell us what the amount is that assessed.
Okay.
Now, there may be people that don't pay their property tax.
Oh, okay. So there can be some adjustment
So
to
there
that
can, well,
projection.
there can be some property taxes aren't collected until later years,
Okay.
until it goes to tax sale.
So it
You're
can-
not guaranteed the revenue.
No, so it can
fluctuate.
it's fluctuate. Thank you.
Shouldn't fluctuate a lot.
Other questions?
I will tell you, I looked at some of the other projects we had in DURA to see if there's anything else we could move to capital, and because of contracts and things that were already established, we just felt like we couldn't move existing projects to the, so we moved what we thought we could actually move legally. That's why you still see some of the projects, if they're already ongoing, if they're the pickleball and the town park, and we can't really move those because they're two different entities. Contracts were done. with DURA.
Makes sense.
But we will certainly look at how we budget for next year, and hopefully with some work session or council retreat time, you can give us some direction on what you'd like to see with this one. That's it for me.
That's it?
Good to
Question?
go.
All right, thank you so much. That'll end the work session and we'll adjourn tonight's meetings.
See you in September.
Okay, have fun.
Yeah, I'll be online.